Now, the two comments, I'm actually very, very happy to listen to this talk. I would like to encourage the US and his team, if at all they haven't done this, to take this to the community. Because based on our community engagement agenda as a university for community transformation, this is the right thing to do. Because out there, maybe actually as you experimented, okay, with the ladies in the market about the chemicals, they didn't even know exactly why there are those chemicals and what type of chemicals are there. So engaging the community will be a very good thing. But at the same time, we need to encourage the government of Uganda and all the stakeholders in this country to have a sectoral approach to this, where these things are talked about everywhere by LOCs, in the church, politicians. When they are counseling for votes, they just want votes, they don't want to talk about crucial issues. So these are things that we should take care of. I think the last thing is about eating well. The definition of eating well in our rural areas is different from what the nutritionists call eating well. In other places, especially where I come from, in Western Uganda, eating well means eating meat, and so forth, a lot of oil, Maybe here in Acholi land it is a little bit better because we have these local foods, malakwanga, dekgo, and what have you. They are really very good things, healthy things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I think we shall first get all the questions, then we answer them. Next.
Right. Thank you for the wonderful topic that has been brought on board. I have a little bit diversion on what has really been presented, but it's also part of what I think I need to bring on board so that we are helped with. On the presentation by the University Secretary, he highlighted about the farmers that we see around, that they always go about spraying their food crops. For example, I can say area where I come from, there's a water body that we always fetch the water from. And we have these nationals who are from Mbale, the Bagisus, who are planting there, like the green pepper, the tomatoes, and the cabbages. They spray them there, near the water source. And if this spray, we are saying the chemicals they are using are really not good, my concern is that I need maybe to be helped with. Thus, this spraying or these chemicals they normally use, is it not going to affect the water itself that we normally fetch and we go back to use at home? If it is so, how are we going to be helped with it? Because after the spraying, from my own experience, the smell alone of the water area is too bad, always full of chemicals. And then, if that is to be done, how far as my senior lecturer has just said about community sensitization as the university, I think it needs to be taken up so that people are taught, people are sensitized about the danger of these chemicals, especially now that they're taking it far to the water bodies, as we have seen also with the factories that are emitting a lot of chemicals in the water bodies that are also affecting the lives of the fishing and all the aquatic lives being killed because of the excess chemicals that are always exposed. And with this, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our presenter. Traditionally, when we harvest our food, like maize grain, we always sort it. The good one is stored for human consumption, but the bad ones are always thrown to the poultry. So what I've taken home from this presentation is that we always don't throw the bad ones to the birds, but we have thrown them to ourselves, because you have said, when we eat these birds, we have fed with bad grains, we get aflatoxin in our body after eating this meat. That's what I've taken home. But now the question is, what does regular exercise do? Or what is the impact of regular exercise on reducing the rate of aflatoxin? Does it have any impact? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, presenter, for that wonderful presentation. Now mine is a little bit so much direct onto what was presented on the determinants of what we consume. There are a lot of myth connotations and a lot of stereotypes that have been brought in concerning the time we are supposed to eat. And I don't know, based on the extensive study that you've done, is there a recommended time that is good for us to eat? I'm a community member, not a student, but those days when we were students, you make your macarons in the evening, go back when you're tired, you sleep off, you wake up at 3 a.m., you find it still in the saucepan, you consume it. So is there really a good time recommended for us to partake of this food for us to be healthy?
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Obol, the presenter. Thank you, Doctor, for the addition. My name is Emmanuel Ochayoto, and my background is engineering. But before coming to engineering, I used to do trauma healing. And so, thanks to Purdue University, of course, I have two questions. One is going to be on the engineering perspective, and one is still going to go towards the humanitarian perspective. And I'd like to start with that one. So, we used to do a workshop to help people recover from stress and to recover from trauma. And in one of the workshops that I participated in, that was at the Shoa Lake Kivu in southwestern Rwanda, we had several people reporting in that their rate of eating actually increased with the having trauma. It is not academically proven, but that is what we encountered in the field. And now, as a young person in Gulu here, rate of eating. So as a young person in Gulu, so many of my female colleagues and male colleagues go for pork on weekend, this pork that is served on trays. And to them, they call it, they're giving themselves a treat. And there are some studies that can link that one to young people having stress, maybe from classroom or from their workplaces. I'd like to know if there are some data on that. Now going back to the engineering side, I'd like to know what would be the recommendation apart from looking at the material for processing food such as OD. Because we know it is recommended to use the stainless steel, but most of these machineries are made from ordinary steel, which afterwards they keep on changing the cutting blades. It means that the blades are being chipped into the OD, and we as the customers are eating the metal. That leaves us with stainless steel, but at the moment we can say it is not easy to regulate. Would you recommend we go back to grinding with our stones, or what option is the best? Thank you.
I think for the amount of time we're going to leave it to 2 questions. I'm going to give a lady because like 2 gentlemen have spoken in a row, so I think she can answer.
Thank you so much. Good evening to us all. My name is Apio Caroline, faculty. My question is, could philosophers and professors and doctors and the scientists have an answer to the worries we have today. Could be one of the reasons has really been suggested that we have peer pressure, peer influence, religious concerns that make us to ignore certain meals. On the aspect of peer pressure, today, ladies and gentlemen, we must agree that we care so much about how we look. So for the ladies, is it true? Can we find out whether it's true you can eat certain types of foods and gain weight at a particular part of your body to attain a certain shape? Because I was actually concerned. I had ulcers, so I went to YouTube and see what makes me have ulcers and how best can I control. Then another line popped that you gain weight at the right areas or something like that. And today, our young girls, my sisters, are looking for how best to gain weight. We opt, to get a good shape. You run for plastic surgery, and we cannot afford. I also met a friend looking for a medicine, an injection or something she could buy in terms of US dollars to get a good shape. So if we can answer that through our foods, can we have an answer to save my sister? And also, I want to ask, is it for us to have a worry that one day we may phase out because sweet death is affecting us in several ways we can't see? Before, I have had parents advising, the older ones advising that eat pumpkin seeds, eat this and that, for a man to gain manpower or to improve your body productivity of your sperm cells and whatsoever. That is also a concern. What if we think that because our males today cannot get us pregnant and because they are not eating well? So is there an answer or not? Thank you so much.
Okay. Wow, that was interesting.
Thank you so much. I'm called Felix Samanya from Faculty of Education. Mine is simple. I will compare the whites and the Africans. As we grow up, they tell us that Africans have strong bodies than the whites. And they have been feeding us on posho beans. They tell you, eat posho beans, you'll be very strong. And sometimes when you try to go for a balanced diet, that night you may have a running stomach. So sometimes you can go for a balanced diet, but your body does not respond. So another thing is that I want to talk about the tinned food, that's the packaged food, and also water, because they say water is food. I want you to compare the water we get from underground and the tap water. Which one is more safer? Thank you.
Okay. Let me first say the guy behind me has really put up that hand.
Yeah, thank you so much, ladies. I'm Obol, and I would ask a question regarding issues of OD. I grew up in a family where my grandmother used to grind dinners on, we call it kidi in my language. Kidi means grinding stone. Of course, as time goes on, you see the kidi is reducing. The kidi is reducing. Some gentleman talked about the machines changing the grinding plate and insinuating maybe that those particles are going somewhere. And we are arguing that we are comparing our parents, our old parents who used to grind in those who would grind in the kidi, and I see kidi disappearing in some shape. Disappearing. So I want the US to kind of help make a recommendation. I would also have a Mono D, which is maybe made from it. I don't know whether just get a bite, which is the best way to address a deal. Since both the artificial and the local way have some Obol is dealing with the more recommended one, because also scientifically those stones healthy. In other words, because I always see calls going off deep. And then a question about water. They tell us to consume 3 liters of water every day. Are there 3 liters of water? I want to be clear on this. Is it water or liquid? Because sometimes people say take beer, maybe 5 bottles of beer. That is water. Scientifically, which is the thing? Is it liquid or they mean real water, not those other water? Thank you so much.
Okay, you can ask first.
Thank you, the US and the doctor, for your presentation. I have 2 issues. One is a testimony. Whatever University Secretary talked about, I beg that you take it seriously, because I'm a victim. Last year, around December, after finishing our last lectures, I'm an MPA student. I went back. I was taking juice with a lot of sugar every day. Breakfast juice, lunch in office juice, evening juice. Then I eat shabu. And people are complaining that I was becoming fat. My head could not, my face could not fit in the helmet. My trousers were becoming small. All of them were damaged. My dad would say, what is the problem? All we are told, you raise your leg, it is getting tall. Now, one time, I was feeling unwell. I went to the health center and they told me there's nothing. They checked malaria, nothing. They took out the microscope, nothing. Someone said, I think you should not check his pressure. Those people shouted, ooh! 190 over around 130. And it stayed like that for close to a month. I was referred to see a clinician. So let us take whatever University Secretary said very seriously. It is not a joke. I used to joke. I used to think, up to now I don't believe that pork is the best, but it goes with its effects. Now, this one will probably go to Dr. Christopher Mugaga. There are these food supplements, they say, is it General D? There are very many. I would say for a day. Right now I'm using one. Matest is working on me. It has reduced my weight. It has reduced the stomach. It is D, take it without sugar. I would say for a day. I know they are not supplements for medicine. But I would say thank you.
Can you respond to this set?
Okay, so we're going to first respond to this set, and then we take questions from online, and then we see what you can do.
Yeah, thank you very much for those wonderful questions. I am glad that the presentation is taking us to very technical areas concerning our health. Yes, I will begin with the last presentation, who said yes, he is a victim of bad choices, bad eating habits, and I'm glad that an expert helped him to trace that his condition had nothing to do with any of the diseases that could be detected either in the laboratory. And I think I did mention that mere absence of a disease doesn't mean that you're healthy. So you actually feel very unwell, but you do not have what they call a communicable disease. A disease that you can either get from somebody or transmit. And this reminded me, from my profile you saw that I worked in the Ministry of Health. And at one time, an analysis was done about the disease pattern in this country. In the past, most of the diseases that were predominant were the communicable diseases, TB, malaria, and so forth. Okay? But Ministry of Health at that time realized that there was a new pattern of diseases that was emerging. And these are the non-communicable diseases or lifestyle diseases. The way we live, what we eat. Okay? So yes, you are taking a lot of juice with too much sugar, you are bound to have some effect. The alternative is, what are the alternative sweeteners that are there? Honey is there. It's a natural product. It's medicine. So you can actually use honey to sweeten your juice without necessarily using sugar. But also in moderation. But you can also enjoy many of these fruits. I forgot to include bananas on the list of the things that I brought here. When you blend bananas, pineapple, beetroot, add a bit of water, it's as sweet as almost 4 or 5 teaspoons of sugar. So you can still enjoy your juice without necessarily consuming a lot of sugar. There was a question on use of chemicals to spray close to water sources. Over the last few years, we have seen an influx of people coming into this region, and they're very hardworking. They want to plant throughout the season. But from December to around March, there's no rain in this season, in this region. So they tend to grow their vegetables in the marshlands. I think we have seen that. As you're driving from, when you get out of this campus, you turn left, there's a road that connects to Moroto Road, and there's a valley there. There are lots of cabbages, lots of greens that I've seen growing there. So they grow these vegetables in the wetlands, or close to the wetlands, because during the dry season, there's no water, upland. And during dry season, that is when the vegetables are very expensive. Doesn't make economic sense to grow when everybody's growing. So they grow during the dry season, when upland you can't grow any vegetables, and they fetch a lot of money. So, when they spray these crops close to the water sources, it's automatic that the water sources will be contaminated. Definitely. Spraying, the experts in agriculture will tell us sometimes they're inevitable, but should be done with a lot of caution. You should have knowledge. You should know how to mix the concentration of the chemicals, okay? And you should protect the water sources, especially if that water source is used by people. Because if you do it without due care, then they're going to contaminate the water sources, and then me and you are going to drink that water. You may not drink that water directly, but you may go to a restaurant which is nearby that fetches water from there, and they use it for cooking. So all of us must be concerned about these developments and see how they can be mitigated. Still on the issue of spraying, I do pack honey. I have an apiary at my farm with about 200 beehives. And the honey is branded, and we're thinking of how to penetrate the European market. Then a friend of mine who is an Israeli He has a project in Karamoja, also exports honey. And one time, when his honey was tested, they found that it had chemicals. And the question was, where did these chemicals come from? Up to the beehive. Bees are very, very clean insects, and they're very selective. And the answer was, we all heard about the locust invasion in Karamoja region. And what they did, they just flew aeroplanes and sprayed the locusts. But these chemicals, when they're sprayed in the air, they descend. They get onto plant flowers. And then the bees go and pick. Okay? And also the indiscriminate spraying also killed many of the insects, including the bees. So the population of the bees went down in the areas where locusts were sprayed. But the most important issue is that the honeys from the beehives, the few that survived, were contaminated. So the issue of spraying is a big issue. Some of the things we can't resolve them here, but now I want to connect that to one of the comments and the questions, that this debate should be taken beyond the boundaries of the university, to the community, to the policymakers, because some of the interventions may need parliaments, may need the Ministry of Agriculture, so that proper guidelines are issued, so that farmers are trained, so that qualities of chemical are ascertained, so that we know exactly how and what to do. Our motto is for community transformation, and I can assure you we connect with the community in so many aspects. And one of the things that top management of this university is trying to do is to make the university relevant. We don't want to be a university that the community does not understand what is happening in the gates, inside the gates of the university. We want to give policy direction by researching and pointing to government that this is how this should be done. Because sometimes certain policies come up. I remember seedlings are distributed, but when you come and distribute seedlings here in November, okay, you don't understand the climatic condition of the area. November up to March, there's not a single drop of rain here. But when you come here in April, you find the entire place green. Okay? So we as a sitting university in this region, we want to be relevant through research and point to government when certain things should be done and how they should be done. Because we understand the local environment, we understand the environment where we are located in better. Okay? So in terms of touching base with the community, taking this debate outside, that one is a tick. We'll try and do it as much as possible. When it comes to, yes, somebody talked about the issue of exercise. My presentation was limited to food, but I want to agree that to be healthy, you need a combination of eating well and regular exercises. Okay? When you do one and you don't do the other, you may not achieve the desired outcome. Okay? When you exercise morning and evening, but you're eating the wrong foods, you won't see the desired results. So you need to do a combination of all that. Exercise, our bodies are meant to move, okay? So we need to make sure that we exercise and then balance our diet, and that's when we achieve total health. Materials for processing foods. I think I gave a bit of the answer that most of the locally fabricated machines, the guys who do the fabrication do not follow the guidelines. Okay? They are machines that are recommended. I actually still eat Oti, and I enjoy it so much. One of our professors, Professor Elizabeth Obol, some of you probably heard, a few months ago she lost a sister. And when I went for the vigil, I saw containers of packed peanut butter, and I asked her, "You mean you produce this?" And she told me, "Yes, I do produce this." And she took me to her garage. She lived in Nairobi for a long time and bought this machinery while she was in Nairobi. And she makes one of the best Otis I've ever eaten. So there are safe Otis and there are safe machines that can be used in the processing of foods. But the majority of what we see in the market, I'm sorry to say, do not meet the standards. Because the standards are there, but they fall short of those standards. So if you know Professor Elizabeth, get in touch with her. You'll probably visit. Dr. Mugaga, if you have the students who want to see how the specification of a machine that meets the standards that we want to see. Okay? Yeah, because why I'm saying some of these things need policy intervention is, if we know that these machines are dangerous, yeah, then government can jump in and say we are banning all these local machines. You don't meet the specification, please don't produce. We confiscate them and then have guys who can fabricate the standards that we want, and then they sell to the business people. Because it's a big business. It's a big business. But standards cannot be compromised, especially when it affects our health. Somebody asked a question about peer pressure in terms of looks, body shapes, and I don't know if there's any standard, because Dr. Mugaga will tell you that Oye loves somebody slender, another one will say yes. So, yeah, those kind of pressures are there, but I think that's an area that I'm not very sure whether eating certain types of foods can make you develop certain body shapes, but I think Dr. Mugaga may throw some light on that. I think those are the questions that I thought I should respond to. I'm sure Dr. Mugaga will have to respond to a few. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the question from Dr. Isingoma. That when we eat foods, we see everything has chemicals. What do? We just given up. But if you give up, you will die.